Hi everybody, Michelle McClunan here, astrologer and life coach, and I'm bringing you an update on the full moon on Saturday the 10th at about 12 p.m. in South Africa, which is midday. And this is a beautiful, very fertile full moon. The moon is in Pisces, opposite the sun in Virgo, and they're beautifully fertile. So Pisces is a sign which is really related to releasing, surrendering, accepting, and really communing with that water and earth, with nature. So we're in a beautiful place. It's a farm, and you might have seen there's a little bunny rabbit that ran past. Lots of bird life, and just feeling the energy of this place is really settling, and it kind of brings you into a state of peace. And that's really what this full moon's about. So full moons are always a time to release that which we don't need, because they're a time when the sun is opposite the moon, and so therefore there is a sense of polarity very often, and there's often a sense of things being shown to us, kind of in the bright light. So we will often see things that we haven't seen before. We'll often realize things that we haven't realized before. And particularly in this time that we're actually moving through, which is a time of transformation, and it's a time where we're actually upgrading our consciousness. Full moons are always a time where we're going to be shown what we need to release, what is not serving our soul's evolution. And this one's a really big one for that. So if you look at the sign of Pisces, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and it's the sign that's really related to oneness, to unity, to being at one with everybody and everything. So you might hear the odd tractor here, by the way, because we're in the middle of farmlands where people actually farm the land, which is divine. So looking at Pisces is where we're actually all connected, we're all at one, we are not separate. It's the sea. So Pisces is ruled by the planet Neptune, which is also in the sign of Pisces at the moment. And those two together are creating this, it's quite a gentle energy. It's the energy of releasing, letting go, surrendering, accepting, and coming back into oneness, into peace. And obviously that's always a choice. Now at a full moon, when the sun is in Virgo and the moon is in Pisces, there can be a pull. Because if you look at Virgo is very pragmatic, very practical, very grounded, can be quite critical, can sort of look at the beauty around. I'm looking at a whole lot of clivias here, beautiful clivias here, and seeing the clivias, but also seeing the imperfection, where the pole isn't straight, or that could be better, and that's the mind. So the judgmental mind, just waiting for that tractor to move past. The judgmental mind will always say, yes, that's nice, but let's fix that. Let's make it better. Let's perfect it. And nature sort of tells us that everything is already perfect. So this full moon, very possibly, you might be faced with that, of just looking and being conscious of that judgmental mind, of that perfectionist inside all of us, of the part of us that wants to fix and wants to make it better, rather than the part of us that just says it is as it is. And which part is going to give you more peace? And the theme of this full moon is quite strong, because the day after full moon, Mercury turns retrograde, which means that on full moon, actually leading up to it for the next few days, Mercury is stationary, which basically means that the power of whatever planet is stationary will actually be more felt. So we'll feel it more. So Mercury is stationary in the sign of Libra and is going to be going retrograde for the next 3 weeks. So heads up on that. So it's a good idea to back up all your data, because a lot of times on Mercury retrograde, because Mercury rules communication, and devices and technical gadgets and gizmos, those tend to actually give us a bit of an issue. So it's always a good time to back up everything at Mercury retrograde. The tractor's going backwards and forwards again. Accepting the tractor noises, as opposed to these tractor noises, so I'm going to have to do this again. So I'm just going to keep going. So Mercury retrograde is in Libra. Libra is the sign of the scales, which means the planet of communication, which is Mercury, is in the sign of the scales. What are scales? Scales are the balancing point. And so where do we find the balance? Do we find it on the left or the right? And if you've ever dealt with scales, or you've ever played with scales, you'll know that you've got to put one little weight here and one little weight there, and then put another one, and keep balancing them until eventually the scales balance. If you go into the middle of the scale, there is no need to do that, because you are at perfect balance in the middle. So you might find over the next few weeks, as Mercury moves through retrograde, there's that sort of balancing. There's that imbalance where it's, should I do this or should I do this? Yes, no. Black, white. Good, bad. Should I, shouldn't I? People with a lot of Libra in their charts are often very indecisive, because they're always weighing up the balance. They do want to keep the balance, the peace, the harmony, so they don't want to upset the apple cart, so let's not make a decision at all. Or it's very difficult to make a decision in many cases. So with Mercury, you might find yourself going backwards and forwards. If you find yourself going back into the past, this is the time to actually see it. So this full moon will show you that. If you find yourself going into the future, which is probably where you're anxious and worried that you might make the wrong decision, or that something might not pan out, or that you might not be able to cope, then you know you've gone into the future. So these are times where we actually are being shown our deepest conditioning. Those parts of us, those critical parts of us, those judgmental parts of us, those parts of us that see the glass half empty rather than half full, that judge something immediately without actually just feeling into it first. I mean, I don't think this tree will judge that tree over there for it being older or more gnarly. The tree just is the tree, you know. The clivia is just the clivia. And when the clivia's season is over, that particular season, the flowers will drop off, and then there'll be a new season where those little buds start to actually arise again. But we often see the endings and the beginnings as there's something wrong, and then we start to actually doubt. So this full moon in Pisces is urging us to trust that kind of innate wisdom that we have inside us when we're in the center of the scale. When we're not in the center of the scale and we're in our heads and we're going backwards and forwards, that's not going to be the place of trust. Our theme for the month of inner space is discernment this month. What is discernment? Discernment is going into that center place and knowing. Discernment is a knowing. A belief is a thought. So you might believe something, but you don't know it to be true. And this Pisces moon is saying, what do you know to be true? And in order to know something to be true, you have to be fully present in this moment without the judgmental mind going dilly. And right now, there's a lot of dilliness. We've also got Mars in Gemini for the next 6 or 7 months, and it's never usually takes that long in one sign. And it's very busy. A lot of energy coming in, a lot of information coming in, a lot of stuff coming at you, a lot of noise in the mind. There's also a lot of energy there to actually put your energy out into new projects, into new ideas. But that's got to be balanced with all the information coming at you. Yesterday, while we were staying on this farm, we had load shedding, and then the power went off for 13 hours. So we were basically without any electricity at all for 13 hours, which meant that we had no signal. There was no way that we could work. And there again, you have the opportunity of saying, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And getting into that state of anxiety, or just saying, it's okay. We can actually just be for the day. And it was amazing to not actually have noise coming in, not having to respond to people was actually really beautiful. So I would say at this full moon, that might not be a bad idea. In fact, I'd quite like to do it once a week if I can, to actually just say it's a day without a cell phone. And it's quite interesting because immediately you realize how addicted we all are to these little devices that we carry around. And when you get through and over yourself and you realize that it's actually quite nice not to be checking your cell phone every 5 minutes, there's a sense of relief and peace and tranquility, and you can breathe and you can connect with things that you used to connect with. This full moon, yeah, I tell you what, if you can actually spend a day just not looking at your phone, make art, you know. A full moon in Pisces is a very intuitive time. It's a time where if we take time out to connect, whether that's through painting, through drawing, through sketching, through making music, through dancing, going to the beach, just sitting, just walking, and connecting with that inner knowing, that innate knowing. If we are needing to make decisions, that's the place where we need to make the decisions from. That's the way I see this energy. And this is going to extend for the next few weeks. So remember, this is a release point, this full moon. So especially in Pisces, release. What do you need to release? What can you release? That could mean, what do you need to give away? What are you no longer needing, using? Somebody else could maybe use it more than you could. What mind conditioning patterns are actually up for you, that you realize that, you know what, I'm done with that pattern. What deep conditioning is still there that you're really kind of keen to let go of? And so then you send that out at the full moon. So yeah, I'm ready to release this. Show me. Come on, full moon, show me. Show me my patterns. Show me my conditionings. Show me my criticizing. Show me my judgment, so that I can choose a different way. This is a time where we're choosing a different way. Saturn is still in a square to Uranus, which is the old versus the new, and it's coming to a head in October. There's going to be more craziness out there in the world. So again, this is about our taproot, securing our taproot, not getting caught up in the drama, not being part of it, being able to see it, but knowing that that isn't us. The same as being able to see your patterns and your conditioning and know that it's not you. The you that's actually you is the you that's beyond any judgment, any conditioning, any separateness. And that's what this full moon's about, is connecting with that knowingness. And nature helps us do that without doubt. This is a time of breaking through and rebirth. That's what we're actually going through. Our Journey to Freedom course, we have a new one starting next week on the 15th, and you can join us free for the first week. Come and join us for a week, because you'll actually experience a lot just in the week. And then if you like, you can join us for the full journey, which is 13 weeks, which takes us to the end of the year, which will take us right through that culmination period, which is coming in October, which is going to be interesting to see what happens in the world. So we believe that this is a very powerful time to do the inner work. And we also still have some spaces available on our Hogsback retreat on the 23rd of September, which happens on the equinox. And our theme there is balance, because this is when the sun moves into Libra, the sign of the scales. So tell us if you'd like to join us. Reach out if you need help getting from airports and that kind of thing. It's not an issue. yeah, it's a one-time opportunity to experience this energy, and it's a beautiful place. So just remember this weekend, go within, take some time to send out whatever you don't need, or send it down into the earth. Say, yeah, I'm ready to release this. Show me what I need to release. Don't judge yourself for if you are finding yourself going into criticism, or if you are finding yourself going into anxiety or into the past or feeling all nostalgic. Don't blame yourself, but just see it and say, I'm not sure that I want to choose this anymore. Where do I find more peace? Do I find it in my mind? Looking at this, looking at that, thinking about this, wondering about that, worrying about that? Or do I find myself in a more peaceful state where you're able to actually just surrender? How do I go about my life without judgment? You know, there's that beautiful story of the man. It's an old story about a man who lived on a farm, and one day they came and stole his horse. Well, his horse wandered off or something. And all the farmers around and his friends said, that's a terrible thing, your horse is gone, what are you going to do? And he kind of said something like, it is as it is. And the next day, a whole bunch of wild horses returned with his horse, and he got to have a whole lot of horses. And he said, his friend said, oh, how wonderful that is. You've got all these beautiful horses now. And he said, yeah, it is good. It isn't good. It isn't bad. It just is as it is. And then his son was riding the horse, and he fell off and broke his leg. And all the people in the village and all the people around him said, oh, what a terrible thing, your son's broken his leg. And he said, yeah, good or bad, we're not sure. It is as it is. And the next thing they came, and the government or the officials or whatever came and conscripted the young men to go into the army. And he couldn't go into the army. And so his people around said, oh, what a wonderful thing, your people can't go, your son can't go, won't be going to the army. And he said, it is as it is. It's not good and it's not bad. So where can we be in that state of acceptance? It isn't good, it isn't bad, it just is. Can we just breathe? Can we exhale? This is a full moon to exhale. Breathe out. Just exhale it all. Mind goes into judgment. Bring yourself back to the middle of the scale. Exhale. Drop your shoulders. Open your heart. Open your hands. This is the way it is. It's all good. It's all okay. I trust that it is unfolding the way it needs to unfold. I don't need to control. I don't need to grab hold of that steering wheel and tighten up and control everything. I can just surrender in this moment and do the next thing in front of me. And I find, personally, when I do that, I'm a lot more effective than when I'm really trying to get to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So I hope that's helped. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it helps you navigate the next few weeks. And I'm available for readings if you'd like to book a session with me to see where this plays out in your chart, where these strong energies are actually playing out for us individually. Have a beautiful, beautiful full moon and a lovely, lovely weekend. Spoil yourself with some time out. Thanks, everyone.